Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. The New York Knicks just came out victorious once again. That is 7 wins in a row for the New York Knicks, defeating the Charlotte Hornets on the road, the final score being 113-92. And with this win, the New York Knicks are now 30-17 on the season. We did take on a really bad Charlotte Hornets team that only had 10 wins entering this basketball game. Just an atrocious record. You know, they haven't been good on either side of the ball consistently. And then you add on top of that, LaMelo Ball came back not too long ago, and then he's out once again as LaMelo Ball did not play in this game, and no Gordon Hayward. But of course, there's some injuries for the New York Knicks as well. When it comes to Julius Randle having that shoulder injury, of course, the reports that came out, it seems he's going to be out at least a few weeks. It's saying at least a few weeks. We don't know if that's going to be 3 weeks, and we don't know if that's going to be 5 weeks. And I'm really interested to see how they're going to handle Julius Randle's shoulder, because we've seen in the past with Dwayne Wade, when he suffered a shoulder injury, he went on to play throughout the season, but then get his surgery in the off season. So we hope it's not very serious, that he does end up getting shut down out of nowhere, because he has got an MRI, he has got an x-ray, but there's still some testing going on with Julius Randle, so there's still no definite timetable when it comes to Julius Randle's return for the New York Knicks. And then there was a shock that came out of nowhere when I started watching this game. No OG Anobi, as they were waiting, or they were putting together the starting lineup, or the official lineup was Josh Hart starting at the 4, and then I turn on the game, Precious Achiuwa starting, and no OG Anobi, as he did not play in this game because of right elbow inflammation. But when you heard Mike Breen talk about his elbow injury throughout the game, because it literally happened last second, like in warm-ups, you saw him take a shot, he looks okay, and then you saw him take the next shot, and then there was a level of discomfort there when it comes to shooting the basketball. So we hope that it's more of a sore elbow than anything. Maybe they just labeled it inflammation to just label it. We hope it's not anything serious, because OG Anobi has had an injury history in the past, just random injuries popping up when it comes to his injury report. He is currently day-to-day. We hope that's not for a week. We hope it's just to be cautious with him, because we do take on the Utah Jazz tomorrow night. So hopefully OG Anunoby's ready to go, because it's going to suck. No OG Anunoby and no Julius Randle moving forward if OG Anunoby's elbow is really bad, because I did do some research on it, because I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but everyone has their different situation when it comes to it. But I've seen that if it's bad, like elbow inflammation, you could be out from weeks to months. But I feel like that's also specifically for pitchers when it comes to baseball, because I feel their elbows are more easily prone to injuries because they're throwing the ball like 90 plus miles per hour, while this is a totally different situation. But I really wonder what would have happened, or what happened before this game. So getting into this game, what a weird game this was. You know, this game actually was pretty scary early on. Just no offensive flow, which we kind of expect. You know, you're missing your number 2 option when it comes to scoring the basketball, and you're missing your number 3 option of OG Anobi, at least when you take a look at the statistics of the leading scorers, from a Jalen Brunson to a Julius Randle, and then to a Dante DiVincenzo. In the first half, we were up 46-43. This was a grinded out basketball game, and we end up scoring 113 points. Obviously, we really exploded, specifically in that third quarter. We played very well in that fourth quarter as well, but the third quarter is when we got it done. But I want to address something, because when you looked at this offense in the first half, it was the Dante DiVincenzo show and the Jalen Brunson show. Neither of them were scoring at an extremely high level in the first half. They were getting their buckets, but I felt like we really needed someone to pop off. Obviously, Jalen Brunson, no one was able to stop him at all in that third quarter. Unbelievable. We only missed like a few shots in that third, and in the first half for both teams, these teams are just bricking from downtown. It was a good defensive battle, but on the offensive side of things, it was really scary. So yeah, I was scared when it came to, besides Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo scoring the basketball, I'm like, where are we going to get our offense from? But you're playing a Hornets team without LaMelo and without Gordon Hayward, that it's like you don't really need an offensive explosion. And besides those two, you had Grimes that got a bucket, and then you had Precious Achiuwa that got a bucket in the interior. And I thought he played another very solid game, getting the start. Thought he played well defensively, was solid on the boards. He grabbed an offensive rebound, was able to put it up and in, nailed a 3 in the corner when it came to the third quarter, hit a nice mid-range shot when it came to the second half as well. So Precious Achiuwa continues to play very solid basketball, even though the Hornets are not a very good team. But one of the reasons we won this game is, even though we only had like a couple pop players throughout this game on a consistent basis of Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo, you look at the Hornets on the other end there. PJ Washington, inconsistent scoring the ball throughout this game. Miles Bridges, inconsistent throughout this game. And then you take a look at a Cody Martin, he's more of a defender, less of an offensive player. And I was feeling bad for Brandon Miller. We don't know if those reports are true or not when it came to the shooting of that like that person passing away when it came to the pre-draft process, if you guys know what I'm talking about during that time. But the Hornets are a disaster. They're really bad. LaMelo can't stay healthy. Steve Clifford, who was already part of the organization years ago, they bring him back. And just Brandon Miller scoring the heck out of the basketball, but it didn't matter because no one else was stepping up on a consistent basis. Again, when you don't have Gordon Hayward and you don't have LaMelo Ball, that's just going to be the story. But this just isn't a good defensive team. They don't look well coached. They look very undisciplined out there on the floor, but I understand they're young as well. But he could score the heck out of the basketball. I want to address that. Props to him. And as well, this team is a disaster because there's a level of immaturity on this team, because Book Knight has had a history of some immaturity off the court before being drafted. LaMelo Ball as well. And Steve Clifford, even though you're losing, Steve Clifford's fighting for your team. He gets ejected, and then you see LaMelo Ball, and then you see just James Book Knight laughing at your coach. That's just embarrassing. That's a huge level of immaturity that is just absolutely unacceptable. I just wanted to address that. I understand this game's all over the place, but the Knicks are playing very good defense in the first half. Brunson was getting buckets, and Dante hit a couple threes, but we weren't hitting the three ball at a very high level at all, but neither were the Charlotte Hornets, and we were up a few when it came to halftime because Brandon Miller kept them in the game. Even Nick Smith Jr., who's a rookie. I believe he went to Arkansas at the top of my head. He's a pretty solid shooter. I remember in a sequence he hit a couple threes. So their offense was like decent enough to keep themselves in this game, and their defense was as well. So it felt like it really came down to who's going to start shooting the three ball at a more consistent level in that third quarter, whose offense was going to consistently step up, who's going to start knocking down their shots with the combination of defense. And that was the New York Knicks in the third quarter. They came out unbelievable. Like I mentioned, Precious Achiuwa hit a three. They were unable to guard Jalen Brunson. Cody Martin, who's a very solid defender, very solid on-ball defender, just he happens to be on a very bad team. Jalen Brunson was just putting him in a blender. If it's from three, if it's from mid-range, working down the lane, having a tough and one. And that is now 18 30-point games for Jalen Brunson this season. You know how many he had last season? 17. And there's so many games to go. Jalen Brunson is just insane scoring the basketball, but it wasn't just scoring. He had 32 points, but he also had 7 assists. He had a couple turnovers. And he made some solid defensive plays. Again, this is not a very good Charlotte Hornets team, but it just felt like we were going to win this game because we were playing better in the second half. And then also on top of that, we had the momentum not just from us playing very well defensively. And give credit to Josh Hart. I thought he played an awesome game. Of course, he's not going to have some crazy scoring game. That's not his game. But he rebounded the heck out of the basketball. He was a beast. Thought he did a good job pushing it at times, like slashing to the basket, did not shoot the three ball well, but when you're getting buckets in the interior, when you're feeding your teammates and you're competing defensively and just really stopping them from scoring the basketball, you're going to be in a good position offensively. But the crowd, oh my, if you're a Hornets fan, I feel so bad. Like, I know I'm a Knicks fan, supposed to be excited, which I am excited how many fans the New York Knicks fan base is insane, how loyal we are. It just absolutely took over Charlotte. Shout out to Heartstorm Media was at this game. But there were so many Knicks fans, more Knicks fans than Hornets fans. They're chanting MVP for Brunson when he was at the free throw line. They were chanting Deuce or Miles McBride when he was hitting threes because he had a three in the third quarter, and then he couldn't miss in that fourth quarter, hit a few three balls. So we went from really bad from three to executing from downtown. Dante DiVincenzo was not shy at all, but he wasn't just hitting threes, Dante DiVincenzo. He hit a couple mid-range. He was working down the lane. Their defense was absolutely atrocious, but yeah, it was unbelievable how loud the Knicks fans were, and it got to a point you heard the boos when the Hornets fans or when the Hornets players were at the free throw line. I'm like, they need to sell this team. They have to sell this team. The immaturity with the players, and they can't find stability at the head coaching position. They drafted a good guy in Brandon Miller, but there's not much to be excited about because LaMelo can't stay healthy as well. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling. This just ended up becoming an ultimate blowout in the second half. Everyone was piling on. Just offensively, we were getting stops. They couldn't score the basketball because of our hounding defense. We just straight up looked like the better team, even without OG Anobi and Julius Randle out there on the floor. And I actually have a stat that is absolutely insane that I couldn't remember at the top of my head. In that third quarter, we outscored them 44-24, and we were 6 for 8 from three. And I believe we only hit 3 or 4 threes in that first half alone. Same thing with the Charlotte Hornets. They were really bad, but I thought the Knicks as a collective unit played very good basketball. Jericho Sims, like I mentioned Precious Achiuwa, but Jericho Sims, I thought he protected the rim well. I thought he played some very solid ball. Miles McBride had a very nice lob to him that he ended up throwing it down. He had a nice rebound on the offensive glass. He was really active, and I thought he was very disciplined. And you see a level of maturity with growth of Jericho Sims on the defense side of the basketball. But talk about a tale of two halves. Only up a few in the first half. Neither of these teams even have 50 points. And then the New York Knicks go on to just score 113 points. Just an unbelievable performance by the New York Knicks. You look at the box score here. Donte DiVincenzo, he had 28 points, 10 to 22 from the field, 5 of 15 from 3. Of course, the volume is going to go up without Randall and without OG Anobi. He was 3 for 4 from the free throw line. He had 5 assists, 6 rebounds. I thought the ball movement was really solid as well. I was impressed with that. But Josh Hart, 8 points. He had 12 rebounds, 7 assists. Again, very solid distributor of the basketball. Jalen Brunson, efficient as always, 32 points, 13 to 24, 2 of 6 from 3, 4 of 5 from the foul line, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, had 1 steal, had a very nice defensive play. I think it was on Cody Martin that he bottled him up. Isaiah Hartenstein, he played solid. He didn't rebound extremely well, but I thought he played better than last game because he's still recovering from that ankle injury, like trying to get that rust off. 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 4 of 4. Precious Achiuwa on 9 points. He had a block, 5 rebounds, 4 of 6 from the field. You have McBride that came off the bench. Like, the crowd just erupted. So McBride hit a 3 at the end of the third quarter, and then he hit like 2 threes in a row, and then he missed one that was wide open, but he was 3 of 6 from 3 at 11 points. Quentin Grimes, he had some solid defensive moments. He really struggled from the field. He was 1 of 6 from 3, but I thought he competed very hard defensively. Still came up with 7 points. Besides that, no bench production. We ran definitely a shorter rotation tonight because Jericho Sims was obviously in the rotation, but then you had McBride and then Grimes because Ryan Arcidiacono came in really garbage time, 2 minutes. Charlie Brown Jr. and then Malachi Flynn, he had 2 points. He got to the free throw line at the very end, almost had a nice jelly finish. But the Knicks did what they were supposed to do. I hope OG Anobi comes back tomorrow. I really, really hope he does. We need him to come back. We're going up against a Jazz team that knows how to stretch the floor very well. Lauri Markkanen's playing unbelievable basketball. What Colin Sexton's able to do, scoring the rock. Jordan Clarkson, very well coached team. I really like what the Jazz are doing over there. And yeah, good win by the New York Knicks. This is what they're supposed to do. The Hornets are now 10-35. It would have been unacceptable even if we didn't even have Donte DiVincenzo and we lost this game. But they had injuries as well. Let me know down below your thoughts. Peace out, y'all.